Well, hello world. John Todd, Redding artist here, coming at you from the Calle Lacuna in Agujas, Cañas area of the Osa Peninsula. Just a big peninsula that's mostly a national park, Corcovado National Park. And I chose to move down here because, I just don't seem to fit in the United States much. I don't agree with people on either side of anything in the world. I seem to be a man in the middle. And a man in the middle is not something that they want up there. So I came down here because it's a very tranquil place. It's the Pura Vida life. People are very kind. One of the things I really enjoyed is that we don't talk a lot of politics down here. We don't blame other races. You know, nobody's noticed that I'm white yet. I think they're going to find out pretty soon, though. But mostly I just wanted to make a video about what I'm hoping for my future and what that means for the rest of the world and how I affect the world I'm in and what becomes of that. And we got a little lightning storm right now. It's the end of the rainy season. We're here. Yeah, it says it's August 29th, 2024 is the date stamp that they use in the world right now. Kind of a little young for the world. I'd say it's probably like 1,576,256,005 years. How's that? We'll give it a new date stamp. Because the world's a lot older than the calendar we use. And it's been around longer than we have, and she'll be around long after we're gone. And the purpose of this video is to talk about that as an artist, and what we see in our present state of mind is climate claimers and climate change claimers and climate change deniers. And I choose to believe that humans do cause problems on the earth. If you look around at the earth, especially at night from the satellite, you can see all the lights on all over the world and how much impact humans have had on the earth, because it's said that we've pretty much changed 90% of the world and our effects of things we do to it. And I'd say it's probably more like 100%. We change everything. Humans like change. They're never satisfied with the way things are. They always got to change it. Not everybody, mind you. But most of us, I'm always trying to change the world. What about you? Are you trying to change the world? Are you trying to make it better, worse, the same? You don't care. It doesn't matter. We're only here for a second. Whatever the thought pattern of your own is, I kind of have my own thoughts and ideas. And I want to express that today and talk about it and to tell you that's why I do the type of art that I do. So I truly believe that we have a major effect on the earth, and I consider it a fact, okay? Not an alternative fact, but a reality that we do indeed make more changes to the earth than any other species has ever done since probably about the dinosaurs that I know of, just from what little history I've studied in 62 years of my life. I love documentaries. I'm always seeing things that talk about our past. I don't know how accurate they are, because one of the favorite things that humans like to do is fight. And they love to have big fights. We have a couple fights going on right now, and people claim land and take land from other people, and then when they do that, they destroy the history, burn down the entire world's largest library in Alexander back in the day, as they say. And you wonder how much knowledge we lose because of our negative impact on each other and ourselves and our denial of true history. And a lot of people are trying to rewrite history as it's known, because they say the winner always writes history, but that's not true. Those that are defeated do not go unspoken. They will speak up continuously they're not really defeated. They're just beat up and killed, and they still exist on the planet, and they tell their stories. And quite honestly, some of the best stories ever told are through the ancestral timelines that generations have passed down. I know that the indigenous people of the Americas are really focused on making sure their history is kept alive through the spoken word. And so it's really hard to say what's been done and what hasn't been done, but we've definitely changed everything. We're changing things now. And, they say we're in the technology age, which I say it's probably about 200 years now that technology went from mechanical to electrical. And it changes. They love to change it every 6 months just for commercial value and put the money and the greed emphasis on it, because apparently money matters more than anything else on earth to humans. And I think just the opposite. I think the joy of life, the kindness, compassion, integrity, safety, and professionalism are the things that matter the most. And I want to start showing that through my art, and how explicit I am through using upcycled, recycled, and trash materials, the arte de basura, taking things that other people throw away. And that's my goal, is to take the things that people find unused and reuse them. One of my friends out in California, he's great about that. He buys stuff and he has a hard time throwing anything away. He'll try and find a repurpose and reuse for it, and loves collecting odd stuff, and it's really cool. He's got a lot of junk, one might say, but it's actually a story of history, or our story. I got to come up with a new word for history, or herstory, or everybody's story. It all matters. So this particular gentleman, Peter, has always been the type that when he sees something that thinks it can be repurposed or saved and continued to be used or just collected and looked at, it's a form of his art, actually, saving these things and keeping them alive. He's a man who loves to talk about money all the time, but he's also a man who loves to keep using old things. He drives an old 1978-year-old truck and keeps it alive and running. So I appreciate that in him, and I appreciate that in all people when they try to repurpose, recycle, and keep things running that they have, because that keeps you from throwing things away, creating new things that might be causing climate change. It's, the production of things, industrial disease exists and causes problems for our climate and our atmosphere and our rivers and our land and everything else. So it's a good idea if you have old stuff, It's these maker spaces that have come around, and people getting together of all ages and fixing toasters and spending time together and creating community. It's really cool, because one of the things we're going through right now is artificial intelligence, and I wish this guy out in Sweden, I believe, or Switzerland, forgive me for not knowing names of places all the time too great, but there was a gentleman I saw on TV the other day that is the father of AI, and I wish he would have called it CI, collective intelligence, because it is not artificial at all, okay? It's just turned into an electronical, mathematical format. Whether math is the language of the universe or something that humans have invented, or a little bit of both, is a question that's being debated right now. But everything that's out there is a mathematical pattern of people taking ideas and putting them together, and they create an object, a thought, a pattern, whatever they make, and that is collective intelligence to me. It's not artificial at all, it's real. And the reality of life is that we are a collection of people. We are not separate. There is no need to worry about a world order or nationalism or anything like that, because the world has shown throughout time that people come together and share ideas and pass them on, and that's what's kept some of the greatest empires alive for a long time. The Romans sure liked to come and beat you up, but boy, they sure implemented and kept your ideas within their societies and changed their ways to meet the populace so that they could keep their control, and it worked. So the reason I'm talking about all of this is so that it can all come together in one thought. It seems like a flowing river that spirals down like this and that, but it does come out at the end in the ocean, and all water starts at the top and comes to the bottom and is collected. So we are like the water from the steam and the rain and the humidity that falls into the lakes and rivers and drops into the ocean to be a collective community. That's what humans are, is a collective intelligence, okay? So what you do with that intelligence is up to you. You can either help make things worse or help make things better. It's kind of your choice, you know. I'm not going to like dictate what you should do in life, but I've chose to try and make things better, at least while I'm here, because there's a future of those who aren't even here yet, is what I always say in some of my videos, is the world's not about us, it's about those coming in behind us, okay? And what we leave for them, and what changes have we made to make their life better. And you'll see that within climate change thought, is that the kids, the young generation, are the ones most concerned because their future is at stake. And so all of this comes together to talk about how I use art to express those thoughts. So how does one look at one piece of art and get all of that thought into that art? You know, what takes an artist, what does it take for an artist to put those ideas on a canvas, on a platform, in a sculpture, in virtual reality, in photography, in digital art? What are all the ways that come together for conceptual art? I know some people think it's crazy, these artists that are just out there throwing paint and spinning it and yada yada and calling it art, but it is. It's a concept of them showing centrifugal force and how it applies to the art they make. It might be simple, it might be quick, they might sell it for too much money or give it away, I don't know, it's up to them. But what does an artist do to make a conceptual thought? So what I've chosen to do is to take mostly plastic items, trash bags is my favorite, because I'd rather take some trash bags and weave them into a tapestry of art than fill them up full of trash and throw them in a landfill. What's really cool now is even if you do that, they're starting to make biodegradable bags that actually break down, so the trash inside of it can break down as well. And in fact, the dump outside the Denver International Airport, you know, a lot of people may not know, but trash makes methane gas. And in Colorado, in other places too, I'm sure they're collecting that methane gas and burning it for energy. So actually, you know, trash can be a good thing. Trash is a great thing. It's just what do you do with it? And how much of it are you making? And how much of it are you reusing? And maybe you can take a moment here to just think about the trash you make. It's been probably 15 years, no, probably about 9, 11 years, I don't know, since I looked up the fact that the average U.S. home per person makes 4.5 pounds of trash in a given time space. I think it was a day, a week, a year. It's a week, I believe. Sorry for not remembering my stats. But I'm just go back and watch my old video before I started this one, huh? But it's about 4.5 pounds a week, I believe, that you and I have been making trash here there in America. So what do you do with that trash? How can you not make trash? Okay? And it's one of the ways that I always tell people is, first, don't bring it home. lower the amount of consumption that you do. In fact, the less money you spend, the more you can save, and the less you will make trash. A lot of people just take stuff and buy it and throw it away, you know. That's what the grocery stores and marketing is all about, is how many people does it take to make a package and to market it, the graphic designers, the production of it, and all this that goes into that point of sale of where you walk up and see that beautiful green package. Don't you love the green walls they did here in my cabina? It's just great, you know, that green is very attractive, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to buy those Dorito chips that are green or yellow or red, and these primary colors that they use, and the big marketing and the text and the way they expose things, just to get you to take a nanosecond to grab something off the shelf and use it. Then when you're done with it, you throw it away. So instead of throwing it away, what could you do with it? Well, first, like I said, try to buy things that have less packaging, and that'll always help. And what can you do with that packaging? Even if you throw it away, can you reuse it as a trash bag for itself? If it was a potato chip bag, can you just put your trash in that for a week first and create it? Well, think about that on your own, and what are the things that you can do if you want, you know, to try and help out, lower your consumption, lower your bills, your cost of living. I know that it seems like a lot of people act like this is the first time they've seen inflation, you know, and they say how bad it is, and they try to blame the government and everything for inflation, in America especially. But I can tell you that even our conservative leaders admit that inflation is a worldwide problem. It's not just affecting us. Imagine being in a poor country where inflation, instead of being 6%, is 40%. And you didn't have anything in the first place. Okay? So inflation is basically caused by you, by your compassion and compulsion to keep buying and buying and buying, even when there's an economy that got frozen. During our present day, we had the pandemic from COVID. I imagine in the Black Plague, they had inflation beyond your belief that would just, I wonder if during the Black Plague, if the inflation didn't kill more people than the plague, you know, because you couldn't afford anything. And so that's what's happening, you know. You've got inflation, you've got problems, you've got supply and demand, you've got all these reasons to have problems. So what do you do personally to solve those problems, and how do you control the world around you instead of complaining about it? So I used to like to complain about stuff, and I decided to find a solution for my own within my art. And so I've been collecting trash for about 10 years and saving it, everything from net bags that hold the garlic to potato chip bags, plastic off the toilet paper, and paper towels, which I don't use paper towels anymore. I've actually tried to use dish towels and cloth napkins, because I find them actually more enjoyable to use personally, and they produce less trash. And you know, I buy a paper towel or a cloth napkin once. I buy a dish towel or a cloth napkin once, where a paper napkin or a paper towel I buy 50 times and use once. So I buy a towel once and use it 50 times and still have it, or I buy something 50 times and don't have any more money. So these are the things that I like to do to try and switch it up in my life. You know, the less money I spend, actually, the less money I have to make. And that's a concept people don't realize. Oh, I got to make more money. No, you got to spend less money. That's probably your best idea. Is just spend less and use less, and you'll have more. Because one thing that people don't realize is you got to save for your future when you don't have work, or you're too old to work, or you're sick and can't work, or you're disabled. There's 100 different reasons why you can't have a future. So you need to have one reason to make sure you do have a future, okay? And that's by the way you live your life today so that you can live your life tomorrow. Alright, so all of that brings me to this thought right here, is what can I do to make my life better tomorrow, and that of the people, the kids, and the unborn that aren't even here yet. What can I do? And it's been making art with upcycled, recycled, repurposed trash items that actually have come out into some really beautiful stuff. And when I edit this video, I'll put a bunch of those at the end so that you can see them. But this all started with me, it looks like about 9 years ago. And I always used to think, oh, I need to save the earth. You know, what am I going to do to save the earth? And you know what? Nothing. There's nothing I can do to save the earth. I can only try to save myself. And here's why. The earth does not need saving. You do. You and your future children and the future people of the earth, that's the only thing we as humans need to think about to save, in my own opinion. Okay? And the reason is remember I gave us a new date stamp of 1 billion, 2 million, you know, on whatever that number is for the earth. You can look it up. And, you know, the earth keeps going on and on and on. She hasn't stopped growing and going. Okay? She keeps spinning and winning. You personally are the one who's going to lose. The earth will eventually just wipe us out. She'll have her buddy a meteorite come in and strike us like the dinosaur days. But she's going to take care of you. You are to the earth. Perhaps we're just a cancer on her skin. Take a look at your Google Maps or any other item and see how that is looking in areas that the humans have been on. Just think about concrete and pavement alone in the cities we make and the areas that we change for food and all the different things that we do that actually from space and you know, from that Google Earth and those different apps that you use to look at the planet. Look at what a scar humans are on the earth. We are, in some people's opinions, you know, I used to think this way, I don't want to think this way anymore, but we are kind of the cancer of the earth. And I don't want to believe that anymore. But I kind of still do a little bit, you know, I see this as a problem. And it's not so much that the future is what's going on, it's about now, okay? The past is gone, the future's not here. And even to me, I used to think now was all that mattered, but even within this conversation, now is gone. Now is a nanosecond. Every time you say now, it's already gone. Okay? So think about how fast time moves forward and how you move forward with it. Okay? And what can you do to be different? And so what I figured out was, okay, I'm getting older. I need some money for the future. I need to save money. I need to reduce my spending. And I need to create income. And so I'm actually going to have, in October, my first gallery show showing all my upcycled art. I've shown my art on the internet. I've sold my art to individuals one-on-one, but this is, in fact, after 9-10 years of making trash art, my first gallery show of art. And I'm going to have 9 pieces in there. And they all use items that are repurposed for the sake of creating my future. Because even if I die making this video, I still got to worry about my future, right? I might not make it there, but you got a plan. And if without a plan, you're not a man, is kind of my thought, or a woman, or any of that. You got to have a plan for your life and your future. So what I'm thinking is that if I take all this stuff that I've been consuming and rather than throw it away, I create my future with it, right? And so the first piece that I did 9 years ago was of the earth. Took about 150 hours, and it's probably one of my most favorite pieces I've ever done in my entire life. And I've done well over 2,000 different pieces of art, murals, sculptures, trash art, watercolors, acrylics, oil paintings, pastels, and I still work in those other mediums. And lately I've just been working in watercolor and pastels and starting to collect some trash art again, because my 3 years in San Diego I really didn't have a good studio space for doing my trash art, so it's kind of taken a little bit of a backseat. But I've actually did, my last piece was Scooby-Doo, my friend's dog at Dog Beach, where she went, she had this birthday for her dog, her second birthday, and she had all these balloons and all this stuff, and at the end of the party she takes it all and she's headed over to the trash cans at Dog Beach Park, San Diego, California, USA. And I said, stop, whoa, wait a minute, let me have all of that and I'll make a piece of art. And so I'll display that at the end of this piece too, and it's Scooby-Doo at Dog Beach, made from all the collected stuff from that day and other stuff as well. So that one I gave away to her to try and show her that, look, there's a better way. She's 26 years old at this time in life, and she's a throwaway queen. You know, all you people are. You just love to get stuff and then throw it away. Here's an idea. Why don't you just take your money and take it to the trash can and throw it away, and then that way when the homeless guy comes along looking for some cans, he can just get some cash from you, and he'll probably thank you, you know. But stop throwing everything away. Stop spending your money on throwaway items, okay? I am going to suggest that. I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm going to suggest that you do it. I used to love to tell people what to do, but people don't ever listen too much anyway, do they? Does anybody ever listen to you when you tell them? You know, they think you're micromanaging them when you're just actually trying to help them. So remember that when people tell you something, they're not trying to manage you. They're trying to help you. So don't be offended like I do all the time. You know, my dear friend Sarah, she's always telling me stuff. I get snappy right away. And later I got to think about it. Oh, you know, she's right. So, if you get tired of what hearing people say, just do what they say and they'll stop telling you. It's pretty easy. So, all of these concepts are supposed to come out in my art. All these things I've just told you, I'm hoping that you can walk up to a piece of my art and think about everything I just said, or some of it, or any of it, or all of it, or part of it, or none of it, and come up with your own ideas and thoughts. Conceptual art is, in fact, something that a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand abstract art. They don't understand Rothko. Why did Rothko do this big prints of color on color and everything? And they don't realize that he's expressing some concepts of how color works together and how it complements each other or not. He was great at contrasting color and diffused edges and everything. What does that mean? When you look at a piece of art, how do you understand it instead of not understand it? Okay? So hopefully when you see my work at the end of this video, all of this jibber jabber that comes out of me will help you understand it. Because what I thought of was, okay, how do I create a new style of art that's inclusive and exclusive to me? It's inclusive of the art world and what's happening in the modern art genre of the day and age, and exclusive to just my style. How did I create something that you can say, you know, that's a Todd? And I've had people tell me that before. They can look at my art and they know it's mine. You know? You can look at a Picasso and know it's his, or a Renoir, or a Rembrandt, or a Monet, or a Joan Miro. Man, you can look at a Miro, you know, she's just crushing it with her own style back in the day, you know. Way ahead of her time, they always say. But I always say every artist is right on time and making a dime. You know, so I used to think that it wasn't that important that I made any money off my art in my life, that my art lives on after I'm gone. but it's very important that I make some money off my art. I have a mom who was an artist who studied art and taught art and created graphic art and fine art. She worked in the advertising world, commercial world for the Boy Scouts of America in Denver, Colorado, doing their art for them. And she created her own paintings as well in acrylic. And she also did a lot of found object art, which was fantastic. And so when I do my art, I hope to represent the fact that I am a second generation artist, and that my mom was my first teacher, and that I respect those that came before me and the art they did, and I apply it and show it in my art today. Some of my pieces, I call them Around the World with Art, and I hope that they express different styles and the history of art. When you look at them sometimes, you know, I hope you see some surrealism, some cubism, some naturalism, you know, a lot of isms, okay? And I don't expect you as a viewer to know much about art. It's not something that people have in common these days as much as they used to. Because back in the day, before electronics and commercialism of art itself, art was the communicator. From the beginning of time, art was the history book writer. Art was the storyteller. At first, people didn't know how to write. It took a while for us to learn to write words and create letters and symbols that came together, graphic symbolism that turned into letters, that turned into words, that turned into stories, that turned into chapters, that turned into our story. But if you look at a page in a book and take a good look at it, you're looking at art, okay? You're looking at art that was transitioned into graphic representations of thoughts and sounds and shapes that create words. That is, in fact, a form of art. The 26 letters of our modern day alphabet, each one of them is a complement to each other, and some of them stand alone, but they are, in fact, symbols that came out of art that were simplified. And in some languages, you know, and I believe Mandarin, you know, those symbols that they make, forgive me for not being wise to what we call our Chinese lettering, those are just symbols. They are, in fact, art. They're beautiful. They have symbols that are whole words that mean stuff. They have thousands upon thousands of symbols. It's amazing. And those symbols are, in fact, art. Okay? It's a readable art. That's what language is a readable art. So, what I want to do is just transition back. I always have trouble with that word in my videos. And show that art is something that can go backwards as well as forwards and live in a present and modern day time that we are in. So by weaving together different colors, I pretty much have focused on, and that's given me some thought while I'm talking, I ought to try some abstract stuff, right? But graphic impressionism, okay? How do you take and create images through a tapestry of woven plastics and commercial products that turn into imagery? Most of my imagery, probably all of it, I think right now, is scenic, okay? I have, let's talk about some of them that you're going to see here. I'd like to try and wrap this up in a timely fashion of under an hour for you. But so the first one was the earth. Another one I did is from Peaceful Prairie Animal Sanctuary of a big bull out in the farm, you know, and I used a lot of food, and including dog food bags and stuff to represent the imagery I did. And how does that relate to the fact that animals are used for our sake and what we do with that? And how is that shown through my art? I've got one piece called Brother Sun, Sister Moon that I did on an old door screen, an old metal grid that came out really cool. I love it. I've done an art official reef. I've done one that got destroyed, actually. My sister hung it outside and the wind took it. It was of Mount Sunshine in Colorado outside of Telluride, and it got wiped out. I was really sad that that happened, that my art was destroyed because of the fact that it wasn't cared for well enough. Another one was a scarlet macaw, that they have real colorful bags down here in Costa Rica, and I found a piece of orange grid construction fence in the trash at the beach and took all this trash and made a scarlet macaw with it. There's going to be a downhill skier that he's really cool, made with the lids from my dog food containers, and using different 5-gallon buckets to create this moguls in there, and an old 1960s piece of wood paneling that creates the trees in the background. Another one is the Dog Beach, Scooby-Doo at Dog Beach. I have one called Sunday Morning. It's a sun, because CBS Sunday Morning, their insignia is the sun, and people always send in different suns to represent how they enjoy the show, but they make these suns out of stuff all the time. It's really cool. You should probably look that up. You could search that and see all these different items that people have sent in. I don't know what they do with them to get so many, huh? Let's see, what else do we have going in that show? I should have the images up in my mind, but they'll come in at the end and I'll show you and I'll title and label them. But that's just a few of them. And there's so many different ways that I've tried to show nature, and that we can take the things we have and repurpose them and reuse them, and mine is art. So the whole concept that I'm trying to present is to get you to think about what you do and what you create. Are you creating trash? Are you creating art? Are you creating collected items? Are you a consumer? Are you a producer? Who are you and what are you doing? Okay? What are you doing because of your existence? Which probably kind of brings me into, well, our deniers. Oil, and no more oil, and a lot of people like oil and think we should still use gas-burning cars, and it's not doing anything to the planet. And I always tell them, you should go suck on your tailpipe for just a second, okay? Not too long. I don't want you to die, but if you think that you're burning of fossil fuels isn't doing anything to the planet and your life and causing you health problems, go suck on your tailpipe just for a minute. Just go stick your nose by it for a second. See if you like it, okay? It's a poison, okay? And we are poisoning ourselves. They all say how great Winston Churchill was. He was one of the first people to build a coal-burning plant in downtown London. They had a temperature inversion for a week. The smoke wouldn't leave town, and people died because of his decision in putting that coal plant in. And now we don't burn as much coal, but we've got China burning it like crazy and buying it from the U.S. and other places. So, some people are behind, some people don't care. They're just trying to look out for keeping themselves and their population alive. And quite frankly, I don't know how important we really are. I kind of don't think we're that important. Personally, again, remember, everything's only my opinion. There's a guy in my face who he thinks I'm important, a little mad. But, I'm not going to tell you how to think, but I'm going to tell you my opinion is that we do not matter. We are not that important, not as a nation, not as an individual, not as a species. We're just another piece of dot on the planet, okay? And what you do with that is your decision. But I'm not going to give us humans a lot of credit, okay? I give us very little credit because we seem to be very self-absorbed and think we're so important. And quite frankly, personally, I just don't think we are, okay? But that's just me. And so what I think is important is that we do what we can to keep our own important selves alive, okay? You don't want to die, from diseases of breathing in methane gas from the trash, or oil in your water, you know, that the messes that open pit minings make, and the oil fields in Africa. That just, it's sad when you go and look at what's going on around the world for the sake of mankind, when mankind's sake is at risk. Okay, so if you think we're important, maybe you can start looking at a few things that kind of make us matter. And just because of the fact that you think we're important, I have a thought that we are too. Okay, on my own personal opinion, I don't think we're that great. We're not chocolate cake, but you do. You think we're great, and you think we're pretty cool, and you think we're important, and that we should be here, and we have rights to be here and do what we want and everything. So I'm going to try and do what I can to look out for you. You know, even though I don't necessarily agree with that, it's still a popular opinion of the majority. So I'm one of them fellows that likes to go with the majority. But I'm also like to take the time to try and align you into a center thought. You know, not just over here thinking only about me and what I need. Not over here saying life's too liberal and everything is about saving all the individuals of the earth and saving the planet. I'm going to try to bring it all together and let you make opinions from when you see my art, okay? Because I've got a little bit of concern and compassion. A little bit is kind of like a whole bunch, a lot. Not a universe full, but I still care about those who are coming in the future. I care about clean air today, in the now, because now, like it's always when we're breathing, that's our now. And what you breathe and what you believe are what really matters to you. So I'm going to try and make it matter to me, and I'm going to represent that in my art. And after this little closing here, I'm going to say, please stay and look at these pieces and see what you think and see what that means to you. Take a good look at the art and don't try to decide whether it's art or not. Look at the conceptual thought within the process. What am I trying to say? Because you're going to look at someone's piece of art for maybe 3 minutes in a gallery, right? People move way too quick. I love the people that just sit there and look at art forever and they try to get the conceptual thought out of it. Even on historical art. And they look through to see how well performed the craftsmanship is and the integrity of the art. So when you look at a piece of art, slow down and see if you can think about the 42 minutes and 42 seconds of thought that I've just given you, and see if any of that comes out in your mind when you look at my art. Because that's what I hope to see. That's what I hope to be. Thank you for listening today. I hope you have a beautiful life, and that you and those that come behind you can breathe clean air and have a good time while you're here. Namaste.